Pavan Mehra shares this. One thing I continue to cherish from what he said about the key to one's drive, when living, loving and learning happens in the same place, that is when bliss happens. But, my dear friend, your Pavan is Professor Gupta's grandson. Pavan says, "Oh, sab chodo, all of that is great, he can't beat me at football." So, it gives me absolute pleasure, sir, to welcome you on the stage. Today's session is important also because we will be also having a student moderator that will be part of this particular panel. Let me introduce you to 17-year-old Nana. Unintentionally charismatic. He doesn't know, but he's just so charismatic. Happily agnostic and respectfully irreverent. So Nana will also be a student moderator, so we're excited to start the session. Okay. Can I have the mic? Yes? So, first question. First question is for all of you before you became the CEOs and the recipients and all of that. First question, did you like going to school? Mic's in front of you, please, if you could receive. Did you like going to school? If you did, what made it memorable? If it didn't, what made it memorable? Please. It could start up with Shahid.
Sure. So for me, the question is, did you like going to schools? Because I was in 10 schools in 12 years. I think I liked school a lot. I think what I loved about school was just the ability to adapt to so many different cultures, so many different people. I was in 4 different school systems, so a lot of change, a lot of ideas. That's what I loved best about school.
Yeah, school was a great place. In fact, I had made wonderful friends at my very early age. We used to travel to school in a rickshaw, and she used to beat me about. And I can still remember the great camaraderie that we had. So that was one. And then I have also been in a school where we used to use a wooden slate, takti, and then we had to put a clay polish on it. Every day you have to clean and put a polish on it of clay. And then you have to write on it with a black ink. And you have to make your own ink. And you have to make your own pen. So that was the life in a small town of Kocha, where I studied. And they will use the same the wooden slate to teach you also. The teacher wanted that. He will use the same
multi-purpose.
Because my writing was very bad, and still is very bad. Sometimes I can't read it. So that's the life, but I don't miss. I mean, I still love it because that was the time when we used to sit on the ground, and it was all of us came from very humble background. So it was a life which taught you about life.
I think I certainly like the schools. A to play and B to bunk the class. That's what I did in my entire school. This message will go outside.
Yeah.
Don't tell anybody. Say don't tell.
Okay, just before we start up on the real meat of the conversation, one lesson that you learned at school that still stays with you. Oh, I like everybody's thinking, yeah, trigonometry today. Quadratic equation, no?
I would say, I'm sure it will be true for Shaheen, and I'm sure also for debating, the public speaking. I started early at about age of 6 or 8, and I must say 6 or 8 plus, and I must say that that is a unique experience for kids to explore, express, sometimes impress, and make a point about what they believe in, and that gives that confidence that a kid has a student. Because I don't know whether I would have been able to make so much of impact in my class or otherwise if I hadn't done that. So a lot of fear that you have, and a lot of inhibitions that you have, a lot of timidity that you have, can really be overcome by encouraging kids to participate in public speaking.
I think I think I didn't realize it when I was in school, but thinking about it now, I think I learned about differences at school. And I learned about equity. I was in very, very privileged schools. And I saw kids my whole life, since I can remember, who just didn't have those kind of opportunities. And I think that huge contrast between what I had and what I felt kids didn't have formed a large part of what I was to do.
So I think in my case, my father was a very honest government officer. And the only punishment in those days used to come for honesty is that you are transferred again and again. So what happened is that I did my 9th standard from one school, 10th from another school. I studied in a convent till 5th. When I went to 6th standard in UP board, they used to say that at that particular time the English teaching used to start in the 6th standard.
Yeah.
So suddenly you go in the 6th standard after a convent school, and that's where they start talking about A for apple, B for ball. So it was certainly absolutely different for me. But I personally feel that was the biggest thing in my life that became an asset, because I could spend time with all kinds of kids from different backgrounds. So today in my work, to be honest, that has really become a base. It's a real life experience of my childhood.
You know, what is actually maybe interesting, ironically maybe sad, is that all the lessons were not taught by a teacher only. It was taught by a space. And I'm wondering, for 15 years, we are with our children, we have the opportunity as teachers to be with our children. We need to really reevaluate what lessons we are teaching. And maybe that's really what is coming up, at least from the message that you've given us.
I have a lesson from a teacher. I had a zoology teacher. It was my favorite subject. And his name was Mr. Kachuba. And he used to play in a rock band, and he used to spend his summers looking after Siberian tigers. And I remember just believing that if I was ever to be a teacher, whoever I was going to be, that who I was in my real life really mattered. I think that's what struck me about him, and that was a huge life lesson. That I listened to him not because of the content of what he said, but because of the life that he lived, and that was really powerful.
I recall a teacher, Mr. Sharma, in 8th class. Every student had to take his notebook in English to the teacher, and every day when my turn will come, he will cut the whole page. Everybody will laugh. And he tried, the whole year he tried to make me write from the key books, punjis, the hell books. And I would not do that. And since I didn't do that, the marks I got in my 11th class, at that time board exam was 11th class, the 2 subjects I got just passing marks for English and drawing. And I thought I was good in both the subjects. But he was trying to make me fit for the exam. He failed in his mission, but he made me to write the dictionary. I didn't want to copy. And he will not let me write on my own, because he realized that I will not get marks for that. So his message to the teacher is, that teacher tried to break my back in terms of my resolution. He couldn't do that, and I'm happy that he couldn't do that, but I lost marks, and it was very difficult for me to get admission in BSc then. My father abandoned me on the street after one college didn't admit me, and he said, look, you know in your life, I would not go with you to admit. So at the age of 15, I had to go out on my own and get admission in college on my own. He wouldn't go with me, but he was so embarrassed by my marks. So I must say that there's a price to pay for being original or trying to be original. There's a price to pay. It's not easy. But those kids, I will appeal to teachers, those kids who have this fortitude, who have this ability to be themselves, please save their soul. You are a great savior of theirs. Those kids will otherwise not be able to struggle if they didn't get little support from you.
No, I think when you said the price to pay, you have a price for being original, but the price we pay for not being original is even larger.
That's right.
As a nation, as a people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so the first question. UG Krishnamurti has this to say. It is the happy man, not the idealist or the escapee, that is the revolutionary. I've personally known each of you to have a great sense of humor. Okay, you don't take yourselves too seriously. The work you do is of utmost seriousness and gravity. What do you attribute this mindset to? How do you stay optimistic, and how in education can we teach our children to be optimistic? Shannon.
I will tell you, when I go to meet children, and I told Nina that I was very disappointed. Children are not going to be there. Teachers are second best. So So I went to a school in Ardipur, near Kalol, the girls Vidyapeeth. There were at that time 33, now there are about 12 or 13 Vidyapeeths set up on Gandhi's pattern, where children from very interior villages are allowed to stay in their hostel and study. So I asked the girl in the assembly time, I said, ask me a question of which I don't know the answer. So one of the girls was very clever. She said, okay, tell me, why does a small red ant come when you put sugar on the shelf and the black ant comes when you put jaggery? Which is true. And I tell you, honestly speaking, I had no clue. I gave some answer that there are some chemicals which ants would like, and this was a tautological answer. There was no answer yet. I did something that day, but I came back and did research on it. And I'm telling you that those questions that one cannot answer are the real game for a teacher. So if you could encourage and admit, we confess that we don't know the answer, then I'll come back and do some homework and come back and tell you, I think that is the real education. Because children love, sorry?
What's the answer?
You should do homework today. This is the homework for the day.
That's why he's optimistic about it.
You meet when you meet such kids who can question, who can challenge you, and who can ask those, and who are not afraid of asking questions which they think will fall.
built herself one of our classrooms, and another child is very ill, and another teacher is in hospital, and they feel like your people and your family. I think that's what I find the most difficult, learning to be able to deal with that without getting sucked into that suffering. How do you develop that ability to really care and really empathize, but then also stay detached enough to be helpful and to be able to absorb it. And so I find the days that are difficult for me are the days when that pain seeps too deeply inside, and then I don't know what to do, and that feels very difficult.
It's a tough question, a very painful question actually. Yesterday, while going to office, I kissed my wife, and she said, I don't want to learn to have it. Because she knew that I might not do it every day. And she knows that for the last 3 days, because I had given time to my students from 7:30 to 9:30 for walk and talk, with each student for 15-20 minutes. So I had not spent even 10 to 15 minutes in a day of 24 hours with her. So surely, for all these years, this constant neglect that she bears is a very serious pain. And I cannot even promise that I can use it. Every day it's going to be bursts. Instead of 10 minutes, it's going to be 9, 8, 7, some days, but 9. That's one pain which is very difficult. I don't think I can find a way of reducing it. I just don't have. But there's another pain that I have. And this is no less severe. When I created Srishti Volunteer Organization 93, we thought we would create a new kind of human being. A new kind of human being who will seek happiness by changing the portfolio of the time he or she spends on private goods, common goods, and public goods. I always tell my friends, if you want to know how happy you are, find the ratio of the three. Very simple, every day. The problem I get is when I find young people in whom I am investing time, my students, doctoral students, other students, and when they show timidity. They show timidity in sharing. Either their work, their ideas, their time, whatever, then I feel sad because I realize, my God, this was the purpose for which I was doing everything, that the time we spend for creating public goods should be maximum, common goods less than that, private goods should be minimum. But where are those kids? And I'm sure there are those kids, because otherwise the network would not work. There are such kids, those volunteers who help us to achieve extraordinary results everywhere. But